There is a shift every man eventually goes through, a quiet but profound realignment in the dynamics of a relationship. This turning point doesn't arrive with grand gestures, not when you buy the flowers, not when you tirelessly seek her approval, and not when you bend over backwards to prove your worth to her. It crystallizes in a far more subtle and powerful moment, when you finally stop needing her. This isn't about ceasing to care, but about a fundamental rewiring of your own emotional foundation. The air changes when you are no longer drawing your sense of validity from her presence, and she, attuned to the subtlest shifts in emotional weather, feels this change in her bones. The grip she held, perhaps without even fully realizing it, has loosened, and her entire world is forced to recalibrate. Women possess a near-instinctual radar for neediness. They can detect its faint signal in the hesitation of your tone, the extra second you hold a glance seeking a reaction, or in the way your actions are performed not from a place of genuine giving, but as a bid for reassurance. They feel it in your presence, a certain tension, an unspoken plea for everything to be okay. This dependency, while often mistaken for deep affection, creates a heavy, suffocating pressure. She intuitively senses that your entire emotional equilibrium is tied to her whims. Whether she offers a smile, replies to a text, or grants a moment of her attention, you become a satellite orbiting her moods, and in doing so, you communicate a devastating message that you are not a complete person on your own. You place the immense burden of your happiness and self-worth squarely onto her shoulders, responsibility no partner can healthily bear. This dynamic establishes a cruel imbalance. For a long time, she may have grown accustomed to being the sun in your solar system, secure in the knowledge that your attention, energy, and love were guaranteed constants, regardless of her own behavior. The relationship ceases to be a partnership between two whole individuals and devolves into a transaction. One person becomes the pursuer, desperately giving more and more in the hope of receiving validation, while the other becomes the withdrawer, often pulling away from the weight of that desperation. This cycle is the silent killer of genuine attraction and respect. It reduces a potentially profound connection to a mere exchange, where you are constantly paying for scraps of approval, and she is left with the uncomfortable role of gatekeeper. It creates a world where love is confused with dependency, and where the fear of loss prevents either person from ever truly being free, or truly being themselves. The pivotal moment of transformation arrives not with a declaration, but with a quiet internal severance. It is the point at which your deep-seated need for her validation simply evaporates, not as a tactic, but as a natural consequence of you turning your focus inward. When she realizes that your core happiness, your underlying confidence, and your fundamental sense of self are no longer tethered to her opinions or her affections, it triggers a shockwave of unexpected emotion within her: fear. This is not the kind of fear that sends her running for the door, but a deeper, more disorienting variety that forces a complete reassessment of the relationship's landscape. In an instant, the psychological power she believed was hers, the power to validate, to reassure, to destabilize, slips from her fingers. The unspoken contract, where her attention was the currency for your peace, has been nullified. This is when you begin to radiate the one thing that is truly irresistible: genuine, emotional independence. The distinction becomes starkly clear. You are no longer orbiting the volatile climate of her moods, anxiously trying to predict and placate. Instead, you are standing firm in your own reality, a man grounded by his own principles and purpose. Your emotional state becomes your own responsibility and your own achievement. This shift presents her with a possibility she may not have seriously considered before: that she could actually lose you. The man she took for granted, the one whose presence was a guaranteed constant, has suddenly become an individual with agency. The paradox is that it is precisely within this loss of control, this sudden uncertainty, that the embers of her attraction are fanned into a new flame. Women are not fundamentally drawn to men who need them. They are drawn to men who are complete without them, men whose company is a choice, not a necessity. When she comprehends, on an instinctive level, that you do not require her presence to feel whole and purposeful, she is compelled to look at you again with fresh eyes, seeing not the needy suitor but a potential equal. This is the unspoken rule of leverage in relationships. The person who is less dependent, not out of coldness, but out of wholeness, inherently holds it. This is not a leverage of manipulation, but a leverage of strength, and it changes everything. This profound shift is not a performance. It is not a strategy of playing hard to get or a temporary act of indifference designed to provoke a reaction. The transformation is only real and only lasting when it is rooted in a genuine internal revolution. It begins when you stop pretending you don't need her and instead build a life so compelling and a self so complete that the need simply withers away, replaced by a quiet, steady wholeness. This is about stepping fully into your own strength, about constructing a personal identity, a driving purpose, and a vision for your future that is so robust and intrinsically rewarding that no single person's presence or absence can shatter it. Your value becomes a non-negotiable fact, determined by your own actions and character, not a fluctuating variable dependent on her approval. The day you truly stop needing her is the day you cease to live as half a man, finally stepping into your full stature. Dependency, by its very nature, shrinks you. It makes you smaller, more desperate, and perpetually reactive. You become a marionette, your strings pulled by her moods, her affections, and her attention. When that external validation is withdrawn, you collapse internally, because your entire structure was built upon an unstable foundation. But when you consciously choose independence, you take a knife and cut those strings. You rediscover the fundamental truth that your worth is not a gift she bestows, but a strength you build and own for yourself. This is the ultimate liberation. It frees you from the gnawing fear of abandonment, from the exhausting and demoralizing cycle of constantly having to prove your worth to someone else. Your energy cannot help but shift. It becomes palpable. You begin to walk with a different posture, speak with a new certainty, and carry yourself with a quiet, unshakable confidence that is neither loud nor performative. It is a deep, steady calm that comes from knowing who you are and where you are going. You have a core that cannot be shaken. This journey leads you to a crucial realization. You were never meant to live for her approval, her validation, or her affection. Your life was meant to be dedicated to your own mission, your unique vision, and the unwavering pursuit of your own path. This is the discovery of true freedom. The internal transformation you undergo cannot be hidden. It projects itself into the world and elicits a direct and often dramatic response. You will witness this fundamental change play out in her external behavior, a series of adjustments that reveal her recalibrating understanding of you. The same woman who once created distance, who seemed indifferent to your presence, begins to lean in. The one who let your calls go to voicemail now finds reasons to initiate contact. Or you may notice her quietly observing your social media, tracing the outlines of the new life you are building without her. The one who took your attention for granted suddenly develops a keen interest in the details of your world, in your new pursuits, and the people who now occupy your time. The reason for this stark reversal is simple and powerful. Neediness is instinctively repulsive, while authentic independence is profoundly magnetic. Her previous test, the creation of distance, the withholding of affection, the subtle challenges to your frame were never meant to destroy the relationship. They were, on an instinctual level, a question. She was asking, can you handle me at my most difficult without losing your center? Can you remain steady when I create a storm? The majority of men fail this test. They become emotional, reactive, and desperate. They try harder, they give more, they explain endlessly, and in doing so, they confirm their weakness. But you, the man who has truly rooted himself in his own worth, respond differently. You don't chase her validation because you no longer require it for your self-esteem. You don't argue with her shifting moods because you understand that her emotions are her responsibility to manage, not yours to absorb and fix. You don't crumble when she withholds affection because your inner peace is no longer a variable dependent on her approval. In your unwavering calm, you prove something most men never do, that you possess the ultimate strength, the strength to walk away without collapsing. This demonstration of fortitude systematically dismantles one of her most powerful and comfortable illusions, that she is irreplaceable in your world. For a long time, she may have operated under the belief that you saw her as the sole source of love, intimacy, and connection. Your previous behavior, the clinging and the chasing, reinforce this illusion. But when she sees you thriving without her, when she observes that your world has not only remained intact, but has gained new color and momentum, she feels the sharp sting of reality. She is forced to confront the fact that you are not anchored to her, that your ship is seaworthy on its own. While this realization may initially breed frustration or even resentment, it often, over time, matures into a deeper, more authentic form of admiration. The truth is, women do not truly desire men they can easily control. They are drawn to men they can genuinely respect. And respect is only born when you prove yourself to be unshakable, grounded in yourself, and living a life that does not hinge on their approval. The ultimate destination of this journey is not a mere shift in power, but a profound redefinition of love itself. The entire dynamic evolves from a fragile state of dependency to a solid foundation of conscious choice. This is perfectly captured in the pivotal phrase, "Don't need her, choose her." This distinction is the absolute core of the new paradigm. Need is, at its root, a form of weakness born from emptiness. It is the desperate gasp of a man who believes he is incomplete, viewing a woman as the missing piece required to make him whole. When you operate from need, she becomes your oxygen. Your emotional stability and sense of worth are contingent on her presence. Without her, you feel you will suffocate. This mentality, however, disguised as romance, leads to placing her on a pedestal. In elevating her, you inevitably lower yourself, losing your identity and power in the process. This is not a partnership. It is a form of worship that breeds resentment over time. But when you choose her, you operate from a place of inherent power and wholeness. Your actions and energy communicate a different truth. I am already breathing. I am already alive and fulfilled on my own. My life is a rich and compelling story, and you are a wonderful character I invite into it. With you, life can become richer, but my fundamental state is not contingent on your presence. This is the difference between begging and inviting. It is the difference between clinging to a life raft and inviting someone to join you on your sturdy, well-crafted ship. You bring her into your world, but you never allow her to define its borders. This is what makes you unforgettable. It is not the man who desperately needs her that she pines for. It is the man who, possessing the capability to live a full life without her, looks at her and sincerely says, "But I would prefer it if you were here." This shift from need to choice creates the only conditions where genuine, mature love can flourish. Real love cannot breathe in the suffocating atmosphere of dependency. A relationship where one person needs the other to feel whole is inherently imbalanced. It's creating a dynamic of giver and taker, pursuer and withdrawer. It is a transaction, not a connection, fraught with anxiety and a fear of loss that poisons the well from which love is meant to drink. But when you have built yourself into a man who is already full of purpose, self-respect, and his own direction, you create the space for something real to grow. Love, in this context, is no longer a desperate attempt to fill a void. It becomes a conscious, generous act of sharing your already complete world with another complete individual. It is a partnership, in the truest sense, to whole people, choosing to walk the same path together, not because they are lost without the other, but because the journey is better and more joyful when shared. Now, if she stays, it is for the right reasons. It is not out of obligation, guilt, or because you have emotionally cornered her with your neediness. It is because she truly wants to be there. She is not staying because you demanded it, but because she looked at the man you have become, grounded, purposeful, an emotionally independent, and found that his world was a place she actively wanted to be a part of. This makes her affection and loyalty more real and more valuable than ever before, because now she knows you do not need her. You will not crumble if she leaves. This knowledge is liberating for both of you. It means that if you keep her in your life, it is a conscious choice, not a desperate necessity. And human beings respect choices far more than they will ever respect desperation. A choice is a gift of your time and energy. A necessity is a chain. The moment she knows you don't need her anymore is not just a turning point in the relationship. It is the defining moment of your personal journey into mature masculinity. It marks the day you stepped into your true frame, the unshakable core of your identity. It is the day you stopped outsourcing your happiness and took full responsibility for your own emotional state. It is the day you finally understood that real love cannot be forced, begged for, or clung to. It can only be offered and received freely, from a place of unshakable inner strength. This realization is the ultimate liberation. Whether she stays or goes, whether she rises to meet this new version of you or fades into the background, you remain whole. You remain powerful. You remain the author of your own story. That is the true gift of not needing her. That is the legacy of every man who outgrows the prison of desperation and embraces the vast landscape of genuine independence. And once you have crossed that threshold, once you have tasted the freedom of being the captain of your own soul, you will never go back. You have seen the truth. The truth is this: a man who doesn't need her is the man she will never truly forget, because he is the man who taught her what real strength actually looks like.